Lindenborg, who says he absolutely plans to play despite suffering a sprained left MCL and ankle in the first half against Arizona Saturday. An MRI came back, quote, very clear. Here's head coach Dusty May on the injury.
I'm sure he'll give it a go tomorrow, but that'll be entirely up to him and the medical staff. They'll tell me if he can go, and if he can, we were laughing at he played the second half like a 38-year-old at the YMCA, and a really good 38-year-old at the YMCA. So whatever version of Yaxel we get, it's going to be somebody that helps us play better basketball.
I don't know why I found that so funny, but I did. I've got Jay Williams and my uncle Seth Greenberg, no relation, who is up with us early this morning, getting set for the game tonight. All kidding aside, Jay, what version of Lindenborg does Michigan need to win this game? I mean, this injury is obviously significant. He's their best player. What do they need from him in order to win tonight?
Well, first off, Granny, I've been that guy at the YCMA that can barely YMCA that can barely move and still gives you buckets, right? So all I'm going to tell you is that Yaxel Lindenberg at 50% is better than no Lindenberg at all. And his ability to stretch the floor, his ability with a high basketball IQ to make decisions, Elliot Cadeau is the key to this engine. If he can set up Yaxel the right way, him being on the floor is a monumental thing for this team because of the winning pedigree he brings to the table.
It was a weird game.
He's the one matchup that UConn...
Yeah, go ahead, Seth.
Right. He's the one matchup that UConn doesn't have a matchup for. At 6'9", his ability to shoot the ball, stretch the defense, put it on the floor, his length, his ability to get deflections. He's the toughest matchup in this game for UConn. So if he's not at 100%, if they maybe gap him, if he can't impact the game in terms of getting deflections, he can't impact the game getting to the offensive glass, it's significant. But if he's on the court just because he's on the floor, UConn has to game plan for him, whether he's healthy or not.
It was a weird game Saturday night for anyone who didn't see it. Lindenberg got 2 fouls in the span of like 15 seconds at the very beginning of the game, then came back in and got hurt almost immediately, and they still obliterated an Arizona team that most of us thought, or many thought, was the best team in the tournament. There's another injury tonight, Seth, and that is UConn's solo ball with a sprained foot. He's also expected to play, despite the fact that when last seen he was in a walking boot. Seth, what impact does that have on this game?
They need solo ball shot making, but in this game, especially if Yaxel Lindenberg plays, the guys that are really going to have to step up is Jalen Stewart and Jaden Ross, because that's a matchup. The one problem they have, like I said a second ago, is Lindenberg. So what do you have to do? You got to get bigger at the wings. You don't want Braylon Mullins defending Lindenberg. So you're going to see more Jay Ross and you're going to see more Jay Stewart in this game. So, look, they need solo shot making, but I would think that his minutes would have been cut significantly anyway, just because of the matchups. You need size on Lindenberg. The size comes from those guys coming off the bench.
Now, Michigan feels like the markedly better team in this matchup, but on the other side, they've got the coach. I mean, Jay Will, if Dan Hurley wins this thing tonight and it's 3 out of 4, what will be the right things to say?
I mean, he's closer to John Wooden and to Coach K than any other coach right now in the game of college basketball. And I was going to say off that last comment from Seth, like when we just compare talent on both teams, like I think Michigan is more talented, right? And I think we've had a lot of conversation with basketball coaches and people that follow the game that talk about the genius of Dan Hurley and the style and system that he runs in this European style. Tonight would be the night to showcase that at the pinnacle, with the size and the length. Just look at some of the sets that UConn will run. If they win this game, a huge part of it will be because of the coaching genius of Dan Hurley. Because if they're just playing the similar styles, I think Michigan will win 9 out of 10. But if they win this game, it puts them in a different stratosphere that no other coach currently in college basketball is right now.
In the current stage of college basketball, in terms of building a roster, building a system to be competitive each and every year, Dan Hurley set a new standard. Because it's different than it was when Coach K was there. It was different than when with Coach Wooden was doing this thing. Retention, evaluation, recruiting, roster construction, and then style of play. Look, Connecticut wins this game if it's in the 60s. Connecticut wins this game if they knock down 9 threes. Connecticut wins this game if they own the tempo and rhythm of the game. Who controls that? Dan Hurley. If he wins this championship tonight, he's in a class by himself in the new age of college athletics, with pay for play, with collectives because he's been able to retain the right guys, bring the right guys into the portal, and still recruit freshmen and put them in a situation to be successful.
That's right, and it would be 3 out of 4. And 3 out of 4, no matter what the era, no matter how you slice it, is rarefied air in the history of the sport. Guys, we'll check back with you in a little bit here as we get set for the championship game. We are just getting rolling on a Monday, coming off what was a great weekend. Coming up, I'm going to show you by far the best thing I saw in sports this weekend. It wasn't even close, and I think there's a good chance you haven't. 6th rookie in NBA history with 3 or more 45-point games. The last one was Michael Jordan. The 5 previous all ended up in the Hall of Fame, and by the way, all won Rookie of the Year. There's been a lot of question whether or not he's going to win that. Tim McMahon and Iman Shumpert are up talking basketball with us this morning. Let me start with that, Tim. Cooper Flagg was not the favorite to win Rookie of the Year, and then he just had a weekend for the ages. What does that mean?
Well, he flipped the odds, and he's battling his Duke roommate, Colin Knippel, for this award. Knippel's had a historic year himself, shattering the rookie record for made threes, leading the league in three-pointers made. A major contributor to a Charlotte Hornets team that's had this massive midseason turnaround. Cooper Flagg doesn't have the winning, but man, has this kid put himself in historical company. You put the company up for this weekend, but season long, I mean, the numbers he's putting up, the only teenagers who have had this kind of production as rookies, one was in the building last night, LeBron James. The other was on a flight back to Europe, Luka Doncic. What Cooper Flagg is doing as a 19-year-old kid is absolutely historic. What he's doing as a rookie is historic, and he has zoomed to the front of the Rookie of the Year race again, which he needed a hell of a weekend to do it, and he came up with one.
And you mentioned Luka, and that is the player with whom Cooper will always be grouped, even though he didn't have anything to do with it, but we all understand the reasons and the history there. Iman Shumpert, as you watch Cooper Flagg play right now, what are you most impressed by? What is this kid showing you?
I think that what I'm most impressed by is the way he picks his spots. I think Cooper Flagg came into this league just trying to figure it out. A lot of times it was sporadic on, where he was going on the court, how he would manufacture points. And I think now he's starting to pick spots. He's starting to stop early and get to his spots. And when you start doing stuff like that, you start playing with the shot fake. You start making your teammates aware of how you want to score. It also makes the referees aware of how you score the ball. And when you score it at such a high clip, the way Cooper Flagg is doing, I can only think that this guy is carving his way into being able to get an actual whistle in this league. So though the Mavs are tanking right now, and I know it's not a lot of winning going on, there are small wins that Cooper Flagg can go sort of stack up in his resume and say, hey, man, when I come back next year, you guys know who I am, and you know what I have to do. Once we add a little bit more to help in the fight, I think that Cooper Flagg's going to be in good standings.
So the Mavs right now are tanking, to your point. The Lakers, until the end of last week, were sort of riding high. Tim, it's sort of a provocative question, but as I mentioned, Flagg and Luka will always be sort of viewed in opposition to one another for obvious reasons. Right now, who feels in better shape long term, the Mavericks with Cooper Flagg or the Lakers with Luka?
It is a provocative question. It's also a conversation that I have had with people in Dallas, over the last couple of months. And look, the Mavericks are a 25-win team. The Lakers are a 50-win team. It's hard for me to say that the Mavericks are in better shape. And also, let's just be clear. The Mavericks fell bass-ackwards into getting Cooper Flagg. This was not part of the plan when they made a win-now trade, dumping Luka Doncic months off of a finals appearance. Now, having said that, this is the gift of a second chance to build around a prodigy after punting on one. There are challenges because of what the Mavericks did to successfully build a contender around Luka. They have their pick this year. It's the last year they control their own pick until 2031. The Lakers actually are positioned to have significant cap space this summer. So I think you would say probably the Lakers, but let's see what happens this summer. Let's see where the Mavericks land in the lottery, who they land in the lottery, and what the Lakers are actually able to do with that cap space. Huge, huge summers for both franchises.
All right, we'll keep a close eye on all of it, guys. Stay close. More from the NBA as we go. And I'll